Invariably, he believed, even as a youngster, that he could make a better film than the one he had just watched. This was more than juvenile hubris. When he actually came to making films, he was right. Those early years were incredibly busy. First as an adolescent photographer for Look magazine, taking pictures of celebrities, ordinary people, and life on the streets of New York and other cities. Then as a documentary filmmaker, during which he made his first war film, Fear and Desire, and got it distributed. Nothing was stopping him then, except money, though he always got funding one way or another. And when he didn't, he teamed up with a producer, James B. Harris, in the mid-1950s, which made finding money and properties somewhat easier. There were many films in the 1950s: Fear and Desire, Killer's Kiss, The Killing, Paths of Glory, Spartacus, and even more potential films, story ideas, scripts in development, and projects aborted. The output continued, though it showed signs of slowing during the 1960s. Lolita, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Slowing more in the 1970s. A Clockwork Orange, but not Napoleon, which never got made. Barry Lyndon, The Shining, released in 1980, and in the 1980s only Full Metal Jacket. Then nothing, despite extensive pre-production on Aryan Papers and AI, until Eyes Wide Shut. From A Clockwork Orange on, Warner Brothers all but guaranteed that whatever Kubrick offered them would be financed and distributed. There was no rush to produce. Given Kubrick's working methods and the amount of labor that went into the production, and given his advancing age, he was somewhat less driven. He was researching, preparing, if not actually shooting a film. There is a difference here between wanting to and needing to. Financially secure, and, more important for him, domestically secure, not wanting or needing public display, Stanley Kubrick was free to be at home, work at home, tend to his family and pets, and to the films he had made, and to think, read, and prepare for the films he wanted to make. There were certainly disappointments. The amount of preparation for Napoleon, the film he was planning after 2001: A Space Odyssey, was staggering. Its cancellation, if not devastating, still had its effect. Maybe the violence of A Clockwork Orange, made on the rebound, is in part an expression of the anger that Kubrick felt at the loss of his pet project. He worked for years on AI, trying to get the perfect script and hoping that computer-generated imagery, CGI, would be equal to his needs. Aryan Papers, his Holocaust project, came close to production until it didn't. For Kubrick, getting a film finished was only part of the work. He was deeply engaged in each film's promotion and distribution. He was particularly concerned about 2001: A Space Odyssey. Hurt and confused by the walkouts that occurred during its premiere screenings, he came back and trimmed some 20 minutes from the film, including some of the sequence in which astronaut Poole jogs to the adagio of Khachaturian's Guyane ballet around the centrifuge that makes up the center of the spaceship Discovery. Even the few minutes he let stand constitute one of the most lyrical passages in film history. Orson Welles once commented that during editing, a filmmaker should look at his favorite images and cut them. "When I'm editing," Kubrick told Gene Siskel, "my identity changes from that of a writer or a director to that of an editor. I am no longer concerned with how much time or money it costs to shoot a given scene. I cut everything to the bone and get rid of anything that doesn't contribute to the total effect of the film." This attentiveness, indeed ruthlessness, to what should be the finished product has led some to believe that the release print of Eyes Wide Shut was not finished, that Kubrick died before he could make changes, small and large, that might have altered the film. In fact, the Kubrick family, his brother-in-law and executive producer Jan Harlan, his wife Christiana, along with his longtime assistant Leon Vitali, attempted to follow Kubrick's instructions to the letter in fixing the music track and working on the color grading that the director had left incomplete. Incomplete was not in Kubrick's vocabulary, not in the very makeup of his intellect. Everything had to be complete and therefore attended to.